Treyarch just put out a new dev talk, and it looks like it's going to be covering the ADS and dexterity changes, aim assist adjustments, which they've been talking about for a little bit since the beta. We got the louder footstep, new slide tuning, perk distribution updates, new perk combinations, and then faster mantling, and then obviously more to come.
Hey everyone, Matt Schrantz, design director at Treyarch, back again to talk about some updates for multiplayer in Black Ops 7. Okay, so the first topic I want to touch on is the whole aim down sights, ADS, while sliding, diving, wall jumping topic. So in the beta, that did require you to take the dexterity perk. The team looked at all of our options and ultimately landed on providing the most fluid experience by default, which does mean we've reintroduced the ability to aim down sights while sliding, diving, and wall jumping by default.
And this is something that was a huge request during the beta, and it's just because back in, what was it, MW3, and then even in Warzone, we had this system by default where it didn't do that wonky ADS tilt that just feels out of place. That doesn't belong in COD, I don't think. And I'm guessing dexterity will make it so that
you do not need to take the dexterity perk.
It'll just make it smoother and faster.
Speed up those interactions.
Yeah, exactly.
Sprint to fire, slide to fire, but you will not need dexterity perk to ADS while doing those actions.
So that's going to help a lot with the fluidity of the different things. Keeps it on an even playing field where it doesn't feel like it's such a crutch perk that you have to run dexterity. Now it's going to open up the doors to another perk. And even more with the perk greed as we get into the full launch.
Okay, next one I want to touch on is just to reconfirm a topic I touched on in our last dev update about footstep volume. We have slightly increased the volume of our footsteps in multiplayer. We're very happy with where they're at, where it's going to incentivize more stealth play styles without over-indexing on the need for the ninja perk. Okay, next I want to touch on where we've landed.
And it was good. I felt like the audio for the footsteps, they went a tad low. I don't like loud footsteps. Again, like MW 2019, that created some issues. But I do believe that footsteps should be audible to a certain extent so that you can know if somebody's going around the flank, but not know that they're flanking on the entire side of the map, that, yep, they're coming from over there, 50 meters out, they'll get here in no time. It's got to be that flexibility to be able to get in there and know that, okay, I don't need some special audio tuning and all this other nonsense to just be able to hear footsteps. Just good audio. We'll have to see what that plays like. Treyarch has generally had better footsteps out of the studios. I feel like they find the sweet spot, especially knowing that they're going to have Ninja as a perk.
With our slide tuning coming out of the beta for launch, alongside that dexterity change and the ADS change, we have slowed down the slide speed a bit and we reduced the distance a bit, but I promise you it still feels great, it still feels fluid, but we want to make sure that that's not the only way you can enter in an engagement.
That's always like a double-edged sword when they talk about quote-unquote slowing things down or nerfing them, because it could be like a 5% change where if they didn't even acknowledge it, the average person might not even notice. And then for the hardcore Uber Online Call of Duty, like 1,000 hours in the first month type players, they'll definitely notice. And people get a little bit hesitant because they have nerfed stuff in the past. That one's another wait and see. I didn't really feel like it was out of hand, but you know, other than maybe I would slide off the map on occasion where I was trying to slide sideways, but you know, that's just you getting used to the movement and the maps. The way they're kind of laid out, in my opinion.
Okay, another movement topic I want to touch on are our mantles. So we saw the feedback, we agree. Some of the mantles felt a little slow, so the team is going through every single mantle in the game to make sure that we have a consistent speed and fill, and everything feels fast and fluid. The next one is a meaty topic, and it's about our perks and our perk distribution. Got a lot of feedback. We made some changes ahead of beta coming out of our blog. A lot of you had a lot of feedback on that, which we appreciate. But the big changes that we're going to focus on here for launch are, one, we want to make sure that we are incentivizing and allowing for varied play styles. Two, we saw a lot of feedback on how stacked slot 1 was, so we've made some adjustments there that I think you're going to be happy with. And then 3, there were some kind of niche underutilized perks, so we've actually made some combinations of perks to make those chunky decisions and choices. Okay, let's get into the details. First change, we've actually moved Tech Mask to slot 2 from slot 1. That's going to allow for classes like Flak Jacket, Tech Mask, and Guardian for a very strong support tanky class.
That's cool.
We've moved Tac Sprinter to slot 1 from slot 3, Looper to slot 3 from slot 2, and that's going to let you loop your score.
But that's a W, because now dexterity isn't a crutch perk. I'm going to be using Looper as my crutch perk for this one. And maybe, I don't know, is there anything, tracker will probably be good too. So maybe that'll be my perk greed option, because tracker is going to be pretty powerful as well.
Streaks. Cold-blooded is going to slot 3 from slot 1, and that's going to allow for full stealth classes like Ghost, Ninja, and Cold-blooded.
That's
with
cool.
a wild card, of course. Scavenger is going back to slot 2 from slot 1, and then we'll start getting into the combinations of those underutilized perks that I.
So for this one, I feel like this one's still a fairly weak category. I would probably go Scavenger if I'm trying to go for streaks. And you don't have, the ammo bag as your field upgrade. Assassin is probably the most powerful, unless you need a blue perk, maybe Engineer to keep you from dying. And then Fast Hands could be good. So there's a couple in there, but I feel like I would still just default to Scavenger.
Touched on. So first up, Shadow, which allows you to move by traps without setting them off, has been added to Engineer. So that's going to be a fun
Engineer
perk
gets kind
where
of
you
like
can
a buff
actually
because
see
it gets
enemy
merged with
equipment
another
through
one.
the world, and then also approach it and not set those traps off. Vendetta, which allows you to see the location of your previous killer, has been added to Assassin.
So basically they got rid of the other one and added to this. So Assassin gets a buff too. So that's good. Consolidate, merge, and then it really, maybe it is harder to choose for this category than I was thinking. I think Scavenger ammo is still pretty important if I'm going for streaks, but if I'm just camo grinding where you're not going for streaks, unless you need bloodthirsties, I'd probably go Engineer. I don't know. I guess we'll see.
So if you really want to target a single player on the enemy team, this is going to be your perk. So one for our melee players, we've actually added Bruiser, which gives you increased health regen and score for melee kills to close shave. So if you want to go all in on that melee playstyle, this is going to be the perk for you. Hunter's Instinct, which gives you intel on a nearby enemy after a kill, has been added to Tracker.
Tracker's going to be so
goated.
goated.
Enemy locations. And then one that I'm super excited about, we've actually added Quartermaster, which recharges your equipment to Gearhead, and that has moved to slot 1. And if you're all about the gadgets, or if you're all about the field upgrades and the equipment,
so it says 2 field upgrade charges, booby trap care packages, recharge equipment over time, combat specialty strategist. It's still not particularly good unless you just want 2 charges.
For you. So with all of these changes to our perks, the team is very excited. We think you'll be very excited. And of course, we're very much looking forward to your feedback.
And I will say, I like, regardless if it was a Battlefield that caused these changes or not, I think they're W changes, right? Unfortunately, it took Battlefield, if that was the case, to make it happen, but it's a W that we're getting a better overall game.
Okay, next up, I want to touch on what we're doing with aim assist in Black Ops 7. So first off, we're looking very closely at the data, and the data says that controller players are winning slightly more in close range engagements, and then keyboard mouse players are winning slightly more in those long range engagements.
I did a video talking about aim assist, and I was talking about how, in reference to them saying it's balanced, I said that's a little bit more of a nuanced take to explain that what he just said the data suggests is that up close, probably in the first 15 to 20 meters, aim assist is pretty powerful, and that wins it probably a good percentage. And then once you get out to about 50, 70 meters, somewhere in there, then keyboard and mouse is going to have a little bit more precision, since aim assist will not be as strong, or somebody can jump in front of your crosshairs. There could be other issues that mess with aim assist because it is not a true one-to-one user input. I think it becomes tricky on how do you balance that. You'd have to gut it up close and then make it slightly stronger at a distance. And then there'll still probably be outliers, because if you're good, like really good, then no matter how they tweak it, you're still going to be really good, and you're going to be an outlier regardless of what the data says. You'll still be killing up close probably faster, and you'll probably still be killing at range faster and at mid. And the same goes for like a goated keyboard and mouse player. It'll break those lines.
So what we're going to do here is to try to close that gap, take a very close look at the strength of aim assist across all of those ranges. And then additionally, we are looking at rotational aim assist and the requirement for your right aim stick to be moving in the direction of your target.
That is crazy. I'd have to feel how that plays, because that sounds insane. So you wouldn't get rotational unless your right stick is also being moved at the same time, because obviously you get rotational on the left and the right. I'm not 100% sure if he means both sticks would require, I don't know. That is very interesting. So that if that's the case, you wouldn't be able to strafe into a wall. You'd have to strafe in the direction of your aim. I'm not sure exactly how that works. That's a tricky problem to solve, but we'll see.
We'll have more concrete details to share soon. That's my time for today. Of course, we have more details coming on maps, modes, weapons, and progression as we head into launch.
So pretty cool overall. Obviously, we don't expect a ton from these dev talks. Just more to get out information. I hopefully they do one of these about the campaign, because I actually got to see campaign gameplay when I went there back like in August or something like that, and it would be dope to be able to actually talk about some of the things in there with a visual representation of how dope that mode's going to be, especially in the end game. But they haven't done one of those. They definitely need to do one of those. Zombies, hopefully they'll have another one. I don't know if that's even necessary though for how much they covered, but I'm looking forward to it. Now it's less than a month away. We'll see kind of how it goes. See you on the next one. Thank you for watching. As always, have a great day.